Hi guys, Leba Mukubela here. Welcome to yet another video on my channel. In today's video, we're talking about the importance of timing in business as a key ingredient to business success. Continue watching this video, subscribe, share it with your friends, and hopefully you learn something. Thank you guys. Welcome back, guys. Okay, so today we're talking about timing in business, right? You know, when you look at history is not just a collection of stories about people who lived and who came before us and things like that. If that's all you see in history, especially if you're reading the Bible and all these things, if all you see is stories about people that lived before us, you are missing one key factor, and it is the lessons. It is the lessons of these people came before us. They went through these challenges. And how did they mitigate? How did they solve those challenges that they went through? Whether business, whether marriage, whether relational, whether destiny related issues, purpose, whatever the case, financial, doesn't matter. Whatever area, when you study a person's life or people that came before us, the main point of reading history and the things that happened is that you are able to derive lessons. One of the verses in the Bible says there's nothing new under the sun. So if there's nothing new under the sun, it means that the things I'm experiencing in my life, my father probably also experienced, and his father experienced, and his father's father experienced. So none of us can say that, you know, I'm the first one to ever be in a car accident. You know, we can't say I'm the first ever to lose money to a scam, for example. No, these things have been happening even in the history, probably 100 years back, you know. And when we understand that there's nothing new under the sun, we understand also key lessons of learning from people that came before us, businesses that evolved and were launched before us. Is it not the reason why mentorship is such a big ingredient to any person's life? I know sometimes when you talk about mentorship, we just talk in the basis of business, but there's so much more to mentorship than just business. You can be mentored in marriage. You can be, you know, you can have a mentor in marriage. You can have a financial mentor. You can have a spiritual mentor. So it's not just purely business, but although we are talking business in this video, but the value of mentorship is on the basis of learning from someone who came before you. So if there's someone in business who is way ahead of you in business and is operating at the level that you wish to grow yourself, it is about then learning from them how they mitigated certain challenges in their own business. It is naive to have a mentor, and then this mentor says to you, be careful of X, Y, and Z. And then you say to yourself and probably to your mentor that I'll never go through that. It's naive, because the basis of that mentor saying this is that he or she is seeing certain traits of how you are doing things, and they're able to relate it to their own mistakes, and they recognize that, you see, if you continue in this path, this is what you're going to experience. So in order for you to mitigate that experience or circumvent that experience, don't do X, Y, and Z. It's essentially like people that tend to talk badly about people that are featured on shows like I Blew It. For my non-South African viewers, I Blew It is a show on South African television that basically highlights stories of people that won a lot of money in the lottery and things like that, and then they basically blew that money. But most of the time when you see people's comments and reactions to stories, the one thing you will see all the time is basically, you see, these people are stupid. You know, if this money was given to me, I would have done this, and I would have done a better job. And I want to say, if you're one of those, I want to say to you that probably not. You will probably do the same thing as them. if you're not learning from them. So if you're not going to take their stories and learn from their stories and see, oh, this is where they went wrong, and develop a mindset around those things, even where you are today, so that when the money comes, it finds you aligned in terms of mindset, then yes, you will not make the same mistakes. But if all you see is the judgment of them in their mistakes, also all you do is judge their mistakes, then you are not learning anything, and chances are you're going to do the same thing. There's a lady on Facebook who wrote a status to say, it's fine and all to say that people who are featured on a blue are stupid and you would have done a better job, but yet every month you're blowing your own salary. Every month your salary, the moment it comes into account, tomorrow it's finished, and you don't know what exactly you're doing with your own money. So you can't even manage the small thousands, yet somehow you think that the millions you'll be able to manage. Doesn't work like that. Sometimes it's not about the amount of money. It is the mentality behind the person who has the money. You can give two people 2,000 Rand. One person can take the same 2,000 Rand and build a business that gives them 10,000 Rand every month. Give another person 2,000 Rand. They wouldn't even know how to start a business with that 2,000 Rand. Chances are they'll go take this 2,000 Rand, buy a pair of boots they saw somewhere, or go for a movie, or, enjoyment, whatever. There's nothing wrong with that. All I'm saying is all I'm highlighting with this is that there's a mentality to money. Now, what does this all have to do with timing? It has everything to do with timing, because when you are looking at businesses that have succeeded and even businesses that have failed, we regard that somewhat as history. And based on what I was saying now, that the value of history is not just stories of people about the Steve Jobs who created Apple and things like that, but it is more about learning from their journeys to pick up key lessons. And it does not matter which business you study, whether successful businesses or failed businesses, you would realize that timing is the one aspect of success across all the board. It does not take away the fact that you still need a good business model, because just because you launched at the right time, if your business model is still weak, you will still fail, right? You still need a good business model. You still need to have a great team. You still need to have capital. You still need money, to be honest. There's very few businesses you can start without money, but to grow, you need money. You need a good business model, a great team. You need funding or capital, and you need operational excellence. So you must be able to operate excellently in terms of your customer service, order fulfillment, whatever the case. But out of these four things, the fifth one is timing. And I would say to you that timing is the number one factor. Let me give you a few examples. So we all know Uber. Uber was launched in 2009 at the cusp of the Great Recession between 2008 2009. They launched Uber. As much as they had a good business model, a good a platform in terms of an app and probably operational excellence and a great team, even capital, it is the timing that is important, because they launched at the time of recession. Same thing with Airbnb. Airbnb launched a year before, 2008. And it was in this recession, which was a financial crisis, that people started saying, actually, I need a way to make extra money. Oh, in my house, I actually have 2 extra bedrooms. I see this platform Airbnb. I'm open to it because of what's happening. The circumstance forces me to look outside for new ways to make money and allow. But if things were going well, I would probably say to him, Airbnb would have not necessarily failed, but they would have taken time to reach the success that they've reached. Because when things are well, I would be skeptical of allowing strangers into my home, right? But when my back is against the wall and we are in the middle of a recession, there's a financial crisis, and I need to make extra money, I will actually say, okay, no, that's fine. Same thing with Uber. As a car owner and I want to make extra money, I would actually take my car and drive people around, because in that moment, in those circumstances, pride aside, reasonings aside. So the timing was one great factor for that. We bring it home to South Africa. We look at a brand like Drip. Drip launched during lockdown. And in lockdown in South Africa, COVID-19 2020. And when they launched, the market was now opening itself up to local brands. The market was South Africans were starting to understand the importance of having local brands and supporting local brands because of the lockdown. And also because people could not necessarily go to shopping centers during lockdown, online shopping blew up. And because of that, he was positioned, Legau, the owner of Drip, was positioned perfectly, that now people were not skeptical about buying online. They were just, let's buy. And his story was now everywhere. And even that, the media was trying to find certain stories about people who are doing well during this thing. And so also from a media perspective, there's so many opportunities for him. And it was at that timing of lockdown that made Drip blow up to where it is. 2-3 years later now, they are in 30, they have 30 plus stores. They're probably in the hundreds of millions in turnover at the moment. He's grew his team enormously. I think his team is over 100 people. He has a bigger warehouse now. So the success of Drip, yes, they had a good business model. They had a good product. Capital, based on his story, he didn't have much capital. He only had capital for the initial orders, and he used pre-orders. If I remember correctly, he used pre-orders once his stock was finished in order to buy new stock. But over and above that, it was the timing that made Drip what it is today. So what I'm saying to you is, when you're launching a new business, it's important to look at the timing. Even biblically, when you read Ecclesiastes 3 verse 1, it says, I'm going to paraphrase because, I'm going to paraphrase, but to everything there's a season and a time. To everything there's a season and there's a time. So, one of the key factors as you're building your business, I was doing a talk on Tuesday at ABSA. Why do I want to say Standard Bank? At ABSA. ABSA had called me in as a keynote speaker to talk to their leadership as well as the retail division department. Retail banking division. And my job was to talk about my own entrepreneurial story as a township entrepreneur and the things I did in the township, but over and above that, how to find opportunities in the midst of chaos. That was my main talk. How to find opportunities, the mindset for finding opportunities and the tools for finding opportunities in the midst of chaos. And usually, there's a language in that is used in Ivory Coast and Ghana. And there's a word, they don't really have a word for the word chaos, but the closest word, I just can't pronounce it, so I'm not going to try and pronounce it. But the closest word, I'll actually, in my editing, I'll just put it up. I'll just put the word there. But the closest word to chaos actually means opportunity or chance. Because in their belief, in their culture, or the culture of this language that is spoken, there's a belief that in every moment of crisis or chaos, there's opportunity. So they have inculcated in them a culture of seeing opportunities, even in the midst of chaos and crisis. And I would like to present it to you to say, in any moment of chaos, that's where opportunity is. That's where the right timing is, depending on your business. I was with a friend yesterday. My friend is in the transportation industry of transporting coal and all these things. And he was saying to me that his business has doubled in the last year. and he's adding an extra 500K every month in revenue and in new jobs, because there's this huge issue in South Africa of load shedding. And my view, he did not say this, but my guess is the increase in business is that because of load shedding, Eskom is procuring more and more coal from mines. And so there's a huge demand. There's a huge demand for coal, that now his transportation business is positioned to take advantage of such opportunities. So it's somewhat of an extreme, I guess it's an extreme example of what I'm saying, because not everyone can be in such a business. And so also timing sometimes is a matter of chance and luck, right? So I'm not gonna put it in the sense that it's always a strategy, but you can be intentional about it. You can be able to study. The Bible again says the sons of Issachar knew how to read the times and the seasons, and they knew what Israel was to do. And it's in that skill, especially as Christian business owners, kingdom entrepreneurs, we must come to a place where we learn how to read the times and the seasons so that we know what to do. Because once you understand that, even when you read Habakkuk 2 verse 3 that talks about vision, verse 3 says, even if it seems like it tarries, in other words, even if it seems like it's being delayed, there is a time for it. It will come at its appointed time. So it is the ability for us to recognize times and recognize opportunities within times. And the crisis may not be an extreme crisis like a recession or a pandemic. It can be a simple thing where, like for example, South Africa with load shedding. Load shedding, it's a crisis on its own. Instead of complaining about it, what are the opportunities you are seeing? The opportunities, one, to serve South Africans, but number two, to also help the government alleviate the stress of load shedding. For example, I kid you not, this is where most businesses that have become multi-billion businesses would then be born out of. It is the ability for us to see times and read times. I can bring it back to my own experience in 2020 during lockdown. My marketing agency that deals with shopping centers basically came to a halt because shopping centers closed down because of lockdown. And so there was no marketing budget being put out and no projects and things like that. So I had to look at new opportunities. And when I studied the market, I then realized the same thing like I also realized is that there was a huge trend of people of the market saying they want to support local. Number two, online shopping was on a very big growth pattern. And then number three, people did not mind waiting long for deliveries because they understood the issues of lockdown. And my wife and I took advantage of that, and we launched Cover South Africa, CAVA, for my non-South African viewers, CAVA South Africa, which is an online store where we went and found sneakers from independent designers in Asia. And we found sneakers that are non-branded sneakers. So it's not your Nikes, Adidas, Pumas or whatever, but non-branded. And we brought them into the country. And we even started that business with 2,000 Rand because we did not have to buy stock up front. We almost used it's somewhat of a drop shipping method. It's not necessarily a full-on drop shipping model, but people would pre-order, and we would be explicit that it will take 2 to 4 weeks to get your order. And once orders come in, we would then place the orders with the Asian guys and then bring it to South Africa and then dispatch to different customers. We launched this business on the 19th of June. At the end of July 2020, we had made our first 100,000. Within 8 months, we had made our first million Rand. Now the business has evolved from being a sneaker retailer to now a full-on clothing brand where we are making our own clothing. We haven't done any more samples yet. I'm still waiting for my samples, but I could have been wearing it now. Instead, I'm wearing Armani Exchange, but it's fine. To show you some of the designs, I'll probably in the edits, I'll show you some of the stuff. But anyway, so So that business was launched also, the timing was right for us. That even in the timing, we may not have had the capital, but we still did well. The business model, we figured it out along the way. I think even now we are only probably 80% in the business model, trying to really understand the business model. Did we have a great team at that point? If the great team is me and my wife, I guess so, but we did not have a team. It was just us. So the other components were still work in progress, but because of the timing, we were able to take advantage of the opportunity. So timing is such a great part of it's such a great thing that leads to great businesses. And it's to my call to you is be like the sons of Issachar. Be able to tell and to read the times and the seasons so that you are able to find opportunities. You hunt out problems. Let me put it like that. One of the things I said when I was talking to the upset team is that you must have the mind of a problem solver, because the mind of a problem solver, they are always attracted to problems. While many people run away from problems, they run towards problems because they understand that where opportunity lies is where problems are. So develop a mindset to seek out opportunities in problems, because people will always be willing to pay for a solution to a problem. Too many of us are too invested on building the next Louis Vuitton, the next Gucci's, and the next whatever, which is fine. They solve somewhat of another problem. I wouldn't say they even solve a problem. They appeal to human nature. But I would put it to you that you have better chances of succeeding in a business that is geared and central to problem solving. Your business model is central to problem solving. Get that part right. I kid you not. You will build businesses that do well. They may do well for a season, and I think I need to also highlight this part. Business is an evolution, right? It evolves over time, and so one of the mistakes we make is that because of lockdown, for example, you build a business based on lockdown restrictions, but you don't think about what happens when lockdown restrictions are taken off. You will do well, and now when everything goes back to somewhat of a normality, people now have the choice to buy online and go to a store. And if you had not thought about opening up stores, for example, Lekau from Drip, that's what he did well. He started off, obviously during lockdown, he was online purely and all these things. And then when the easing off of lockdown restrictions was now coming through, he then started his rollout of opening stores. And now he has over 30 stores, and he's still coining it. He has built that momentum and sustained the momentum of growth in his business. So it's the timing is finding the opportunity and building a business model, but evolve. So it's the ability to be able to, it's a consistent thing. So it's not just I saw an opportunity, I build a business and it grows. No, you must consistently see what is the next step, what is the next evolution of this problem. How then do we make sure that our model is central around this thing, right? So that is my advice for today. So thank you so much for watching this video, guys. Please remember to subscribe. Please make sure that you share this with your friends and family and people that would benefit out of this. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.